Hi guys, how are you? Sorry we couldn't meet on Tuesday. I wasn't feeling well. So I thought I would be sharing this video instead of the lecture so that I can brief you on what you're required to do for your final presentation. That was the objective of the lecture last Tuesday. So I'm gonna be sharing along with this video a number of files. I'm gonna be sharing with you a PowerPoint presentation that details for you what you're required to present. There are also going to be 2 videos, and I'm gonna explain what the videos are about. And also there will be the rubric that we will be using to grade you for your final presentation. So first of all, let me explain to you that this presentation is the last one on the semester, and let me tell you that I've really been so proud of your achievements so far. You've been all progressing. I'm really proud of you guys. You've done a great work, and I'm still waiting for more. Make sure that you impress me in your final presentations. I'm sure you can do better, and I'm sure you can give your maximum potential. And this is what I need to see on your final presentation. This final presentation is worth 10% of your total grade, 10% of your coursework. Your final grade, which is 40%, is allocated to your final exam, which will basically be MCQ questions and probably some true or false questions. But there is no final presentation as part of your final grade. No. When I say final presentation, I mean the last presentation on the semester, which is only part of your coursework. And it's worth, again, 10%. All right. So what's the topic or the theme of this final presentation? The theme that you're all going to be presenting on is community service. So you are going to be giving a presentation on community service. That's why we need first to define what is community service. And probably we need to first define what's a community. What do we mean by community? A community is basically a group of people who have something in common. They share something in common. It could be anything. It could be an interest, it could be a disease, it could be a geographical boundary. مثلا we could say engineers in Egypt, that's a community. So why? Because you all share a field of study. We can say Al Jazeera Club community. Why? Because they all share a membership in that club. We could say Cairo University students, or the Cairo University community, which means everyone who belongs to Cairo University, whether a student, faculty members, staff, admin staff. So anyone who works or studies or joins somehow Cairo University belongs to that big community of Cairo University. Maadi community, Al-Maadi community, what's that? That's the group of people who share this geographical boundary of Al-Maadi. So they share this neighborhood. So they probably share a culture, they probably share just being there, not necessarily a culture even. So this is the definition of a community. A community, again, is a group of people who have something in common. So if you think about it, you would find that you belong to an endless number of communities, and these communities might even overlap. So, for example, you belong to Cairo University community. So if you think of communities as circles, so let's say there's a big circle called Cairo University community, all right? So you belong to this community. And if we say CUFE, you also belong to CUFE, which is a smaller circle inside the bigger circle of Cairo University. So we have a big circle of Cairo University and a smaller circle of CUFE, because there are other circles within Cairo University, right? So this is a small circle within the bigger circle. And if we say El-Maadi community, now that is going to be another circle, but let's think about it. This circle intersects with the big circle of Cairo University and the smaller circle of CUFE. So it's going to be a circle that intersects with both. So there are people who belong to Al-Maadi community, but they do not belong to Cairo University or CUFE. And some of them belong to Cairo University and Maadi, but they do not belong to CUFE. And some of them belong to the three of them, right? So if we just think about the communities that you belong to, that you yourself as an individual belong to, you will find that you belong to a number of communities. Some of them intersect, some of them overlap, some of them are disconnected. Well, they cannot be disconnected since you belong to them, all of them. So there has to be some sort of an overlap. All right. So the idea of a community exists, and you don't just belong to one or two or three communities. You belong to so many communities. Some of them could be virtual communities. So let's say you are taking a course online. So there's this community of people who are studying the same thing online. Let's say Facebook community, which is everyone who is using Facebook. So when you think about it, you don't necessarily know all members, or actually that's what happens normally, is that in most cases, you don't know all members of the community that you belong to. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you know only some of them, sometimes you know all of them. All right? And a community could be a big community, could be a small community. So we can say the Egyptian community, we can say the disabled community, we can say, so the idea that these examples that I'm talking about, I'm trying to give you an idea that the community could be a very big community, or could be a small community, just a small group, like maybe you have a small club within CUFE and the members of the club are only 20 people. Now that's a community, but it's a small one. All right. Now that we've covered the definition of a community, let's now try to define a community service. What is a community service then? Think about it. A community service simply is serving the community. All right, so it's a service that an individual or an organization does in order to help the community to develop, to grow, to be a better place, to be a better community. So can you think of examples of community service? What could be examples of community service? Think about it. Can you think of any examples? All right, maybe now you're thinking of donation. Maybe you're thinking of donating money to the poor, or donating clothes or food or blood or anything. I'm sure now that many of you are thinking of the poor and the needy and people who need charity, need donations. All right, let's now make a clear distinction. All right, first of all, we've just defined a community, and a community doesn't have to be the poor people, doesn't have to be the underprivileged people. It could be, so a group of, a poor village is a community, and they do need help. They do need support and donations. But these are not the only communities that we have. And when we say community service, we're not only talking about the poor or the needy, we're talking about developing any community. All right, so that's the first distinction, that we're not only talking about the needy or the underprivileged or the poor people or the sick people or the elderly people, or not just that. All right. Second of all, we need to make a clear distinction between charity and community service, because these are two different concepts. All right. So charity is simply donating. Charity is giving out money, giving out old clothes, giving out old medicine or medicine that you don't need, giving out, donating blood. So anything that you are giving without taking money in return, without taking anything in return, that's called donation, and that's called charity. All right. Whereas community service means that you are volunteering and exerting time and effort to serve the community, and that community could be the poor people or otherwise. So I could be, for example, you and a group of friends could exert some time and effort cleaning the streets around your neighborhood, or planting some more plants around your neighborhood. All right. Now, first of all, that's not to the poor. Second of all, that's not simply donations. You are exerting time and effort. There is time and effort that you're putting out. Now, this is called community service. If you are, for example, helping with constructions of roofs or houses in the poor villages, is this charity or donation or a community service? Sorry, is this charity or community service? You are yourself going to the village and you are helping with the construction. What is that? This is community service. You are serving the community. Why is it community service? Because it's volunteering your time, it's volunteering your effort. You're not simply giving out money. If you're giving out money to the same project, that is going to be called charity, not community service. Now, I would like you to understand the difference between the two concepts clearly. Let me give you a clear example. Let's say you have joined the Risala organization, all right, جمعية رسالة. Now, I know that one of the activities of جمعية رسالة is organizing charity bags and collecting money to prepare charity bags of food and distributing them over for the poor. All right. So if you are the person who gives out the money to prepare those bags, then you are just donating. This is just charity. But if you volunteer to help with packaging and distributing the bags, or maybe doing the research to find out whose these bags to go to, who deserves these bags. Now, this, and when you don't take money in return, so this is community service. So now I've given you examples for community service to the poor or otherwise, like cleaning the streets around you is not to the poor, it's not for the poor, it's for the neighborhood, right? Volunteering to organize an event that raises awareness about breast cancer is not for the poor. This is for raising awareness of the whole community. You want people to be more knowledgeable about a danger, about a disease. So you're not really helping the poor here. You're helping everyone. And it's on voluntary basis. That's why it's community service. All right. Now, to make things clearer, I would like you to go now watch the two videos that I've shared along with this video. These are two videos on community service. They are talking to you about examples of community service. The two videos were shot in the United States. So these are students that have contributed their time and effort for community service. And by the way, some universities in the West, not all universities and not all educational systems, but some require students to do some community service as a requirement to graduate. So students like yourselves at the university, or maybe sometimes at high school, are required to do some sort of community service for a number of hours. Let's say, I don't know, I didn't do a lot of research to know the required numbers, but normally they are not a lot of numbers. And in one of the videos that you're going to watch, the student is saying it's only 4 hours. 4 hours, only completing 4 hours of community service in order to complete your requirement. Sometimes it's more, of course. So I would like you now to pause this video and go watch the other videos and then come back. All right, if you've watched the 2 videos and came back, you should know by now, you should know that they have not only talked about examples of community service, but also benefits of community service. So when they talk about benefits, they're not just talking about benefits to the community, because the benefits to the community are obvious depending on the type of community service you're doing. They mentioned examples such as serving in hospitals. They mentioned also educating people. So for example, if you go teach the illiterate or help children with their reading and writing. So children could be anything, not just the poor, right? Or not just the illiterate. You could be helping the elderly in some shelters, or you could be helping the animals in animal shelters. You could be, for example, preparing, like one of them mentioned, staff appreciation dinners. Again, that's not for the poor. This is because you want to appreciate a specific staff in a specific place. So you're helping with that. You're volunteering your time and effort to help with the cooking and help with the dinner preparation. So they mentioned so many examples. So and of course, when you think of these examples, you can easily think of the benefit coming out of such examples of community service. And mind you, before I move on to the benefits to the individual, I would like to highlight here the idea that when you actually do community service, when you think about it, you're doing voluntary works, right? We just said the community service is voluntary. But when you think of all these examples, you might be a little bit confused. Well, then any job in the world could be considered community service, right? So if I'm teaching you presentation skills, I'm serving the community, am I not? If you are, when you graduate, if you join any company and you help with if you are an architect and you help with the architecture of the city where you live, or any new town or any new neighborhood, you're serving the community, aren't you? Well, the only distinction, the only difference is that we are getting paid, but the ones who do community service are not. So let's just make this clear. When you think about it, you might find out that most jobs could be thought about as community service, but they're not, because the person is getting paid. So it's not really, this cannot be categorized under the term community service. Since you're getting paid, you're getting something in return. But when we talk about community service, we're actually talking about voluntary work. All right, so let's make that distinction very clear. So now let's move on to the benefits to the person. So as an individual who volunteers, who does any kind of community service, what do you get in return? What kind of benefit do you get? You've heard the video, hopefully. All right, so let's just list them. So, of course, some of the benefits would be that you yourself will grow as a person because you are participating in real life. You're not just reading about a problem, you're not just hearing about it or thinking about it or getting to know the theory behind it. No, you're actually getting a first-hand experience with the problem. You are experimenting the problem and the solution and trying out the solution, finding out whether it works or not, what are the challenges. So you're growing as a person, and you are becoming more aware of the surrounding, more aware of the problems that you are interested in. So these are some of the benefits. Also, of course, joining any activity in the world is always a good opportunity to develop your interpersonal skills, your communication skills, and getting to know new people of the same interest, and maybe making friends of these people, right? Who might be lifelong friends, or because you share the same interests, which is a great way to make friends. You meet people in the right places. Other benefits could also be that you are developing your own technical or professional skill in something, depending on what you're volunteering in. So you probably are helping with the organization of an event. So you get to actually learn how you organize an event. What are the different logistics and details that you need to take care of. You might be volunteering in a website that helps educate people, and you are sharing a specific technical knowledge that you have, or your technical knowledge in a specific area that you happen to know of. So you are forced actually to study more and prepare more, and so you develop your own skill in something, or your own knowledge in something. So there are actually a long list of, this is just a few benefits that you might think of. But if you really spend some more time and try to brainstorm the benefits, you will find that you will get a lot of benefits out of community service. And maybe, I'm sure some of you have already joined some organizations, some organized community service activities before, and you had a chance to experiment with community service and get to know the benefits for real. All right, so now we understand what is a community. Now we understand what is a community service. So now what? All right, now we get to know what we are required to do for our coming up presentation. And that presentation is going to be delivered over the coming 2 weeks. So you're going again to be divided into 10 pairs. So you're going to be having a pair presentation, 5 presentations per week. So as soon as you watch this, you need to contact the TA, Engineer May, and on the spot you need to telling her who the pairs are and which week you would like to choose. All right, and as usual, it's on a first come first serve basis, so hurry up. All right, so now let me walk you through the requirements of that presentation. What do you exactly need to do on that presentation? So now probably it's time that you check the PowerPoint presentation that I just sent you. Maybe walk through it as I'm explaining to you. I'm going to be looking at it myself as I'm explaining to you what you need to do. So first of all, we need to understand that there are 2 objectives that you need to achieve in that presentation. First of all, you need to identify what cause are you focusing on. So you need to think of a problem or a cause or a challenge that a community is facing, and you would like to help with that. So first, define which community. Pick something that you belong to. So choose a community that you belong to, or a community that you would like to serve. Then think of a challenge that this community is facing. So there is a cause that you would like to work on. And then you want to raise awareness. So that's your first objective then, to raise awareness about a specific challenge or a specific problem that a community is facing. And in order to achieve that objective, you need to identify the community and identify the challenge, all right? And then the second objective would be to actually call for action. So you're not just going to tell us that there is this community and they're facing that problem and we need to help them, full stop, and you walk away. No, you need to actually call for a specific action. And in order to do that, you need to tell us about a specific organization, and this organization could be a big thing or a small thing, could be just a club that you have created yourself or you have joined, all right? So I need you to tell us about a club or an organization that you yourself have been joining, and you don't have to tell us the truth on this bit. I don't care whether it's actually a real club or organization, or it's just a fake one that you are making up for the sake of this presentation. It doesn't really matter. I'm here to test your presentation abilities, not your real life achievements, all right? So it's okay if you just, that's what you need to do actually. If you don't have something that you already know and already have joined, just fake it, just tell us that you are a part of such and such organization, and tell us about specific actions that you're calling your audience to take. So explain the exact role or roles that you're inviting your audience to do, and explain to us clearly what is the number of hours that you want us to volunteer, and what is the kind of effort or the role that we are going to be doing, and how to contact you as an organization, what to do, where to go. So be very, very, very specific about how we can take that action and what is the required action. All right? So I cannot underline this enough. If you didn't get this, then rewind this bit. I'm not going to be wasting time on the video. All right? So the objective is twofold. Make sure you identify the problem and raise awareness about the problem, and second, call for a specific action. So of course now you can imagine, what is the purpose of this presentation? Is it informative or persuasive? Primarily. Now I know, I can hear you now, you're saying it's both, right? But we said before that many presentations have more than one objective, but there is always a prime objective of the presentation. So what is the prime purpose? Purpose, not objective, all right? So what is the prime purpose? It's obviously persuasive, because you're trying to persuade the audience to join you. And in doing so, you have to inform them about the problem. You have to inform them about the cause and the solution, and how you're responding to that problem or challenge. And then you're persuading them. Okay, so how are you going to be persuading them? In order to persuade them, as usual, you need to be doing what? Using the 3 rhetorical appeals. All right, so that's why it's important that you highlight, for example, what's in it for them. How are they going to benefit? All right, this is one of the things that you need to think of. And don't talk to us about benefits of community service in general. Talk to us about benefits of this specific community service that you're calling for. All right, so benefits, think of the appeals. Are you going to appeal to a specific emotion or a specific need that your audience has? Think of the logical argument that you're going to be putting forward. That's why you need facts to share. You need a logical argument to put forward. Think of ethos. What are the resources that you have? Are there any celebrities that support that? Are there any expert opinions that support what you're calling for? Anything at all that will give us more trust in what you're saying. Also, make sure that you talk from experience. I just told you that you're going to fake that you belong to that organization. So you need to personalize it. So maybe talk about a personal experience that you had, or somebody else's personal experience that you can share with us. All right, so personalize the experience. Remember to speak with passion. Now, this is a community service presentation and it's a persuasive presentation, so obviously you need to speak with passion, but also since it's community service, it's a cause that you know, feel big about and that you really believe in, and you want people to volunteer their time and effort. You'd better be enthusiastic and you speak out of your personal experience. All right, you cannot tell people come and volunteer and you're not actually part of this, right? You need to make it feel personal and make it feel, you know, not personal as such, but I mean that there is it's a personalized experience. All right, so you want to give a lot of information, you want to share a lot of knowledge about what you're talking about, and you need to ask for action. So obviously at the very beginning of the presentation, you need to share, to highlight the importance of that issue. Why should we care for that? What's the benefit statement? What's in it for me as audience to care about the problem to start with, and then to actually take action? All right, so why should I care to hear or be part of an organization that raises awareness about breast cancer? Why should I care? I probably feel it just happens to those people, not to me. So why should I care? Give me reasons to care. All right, so anything, maybe I'm a guy now, is this relevant to me? By the way, yes it is. All right, you need to do some research and know that yes it is. It is very relevant and very, because breast cancer happens to guys, by the way. Anyway, so you need to explain the issue very clearly and highlight the importance of the issue. You need to present facts and you need to show solutions. You need to highlight that this solution that you're offering is actually something that responds to the problem at hand and helps with it. All right, make a strong argument for the suggestion that you are putting forward and the suggested action that you are calling for. Okay, right. Now, what exactly do you need to do? What is the specification of this assignment? All right, the presentation, just like the couple of other presentations that you've just given, it's a 7 to 8 minute presentation. And as I said, it's the two of you, just a pair. Well, preferably it's a different pair from the pair before, بس يعني if you have to, then خلاص. So it's 7 to 8 minutes. You can go more than that and you can get less than that. So if it's just 5 minutes or 4 minutes, you lose grades. If it's way more than 8 minutes, you also lose grades. There will be time for questions. Let's hope that people ask you questions. If people don't ask you questions, this is a bad sign. It means that they're not interested. They were not engaged. So make sure that you engage them enough. And of course, interaction is absolutely important. All right. We said before that in order to get persuasive enough, you need to have a high level of interaction, and this is one of the criteria for grading, as you're going to see in the rubric. So make sure that you pick up a relevant to your audience, a relevant community service topic, and decide on a call for action. That's the assignment. Pick up a community service based on a specific topic or issue that people are facing, and call for action. And if people are not aware of it, that's your job to make them aware of it and to make it relevant to them. So your objective, as we said before, that's the last thing I'm going to be saying in this bit, but I have to highlight it again. So your objective is to raise awareness and call for action, the two things, all right? And this action needs to be a specific and organized action. So it's not just yalla khaluna, now let's go and clean the streets. No, it's not just an outing with a group of friends. No, this needs to be part of an existing organization. That's why I'm saying, if you don't know of any, just fake anyone. Just make up an organization and talk about it. All right? And remember, you're not just calling people to change their behavior. It's not just that. It's a call for a specific action. Right, the last thing I'm gonna share on this video is a quick overview on the rubric that I'm gonna be using to grade you. As we are always used to and accustomed to, the rubric is always two parts. Now open the rubric as you're listening to me. The rubric is divided into two parts. One is for the content and the grade for which goes to the whole group or to the pair in this case. And the other part is for the individual evaluation of your own delivery skills. All right. So the content part, the first criterion under content is introducing the issue. Are you able to introduce the issue clearly and make it relevant to your audience and highlight the importance of the issue? Is it clearly displayed to all of us or not? So that's the first point on the rubric. And then the proposed solution. So what is the how are you responding to this solution? How is this organization that you are talking to us about is responding to this problem? Then the use of the rhetorical appeals, that would be the third point on the rubric. So I will be asking you as usual to explain to me how you use the 3 rhetorical appeals, and of course you need to use them clearly in the presentation. And then the final point under content would be audience involvement. So that's excuse me, that's the that's the level of interaction. You need to go creative about interaction, guys. Don't just ask one question at the beginning and one question in the middle and that would be it. No, you need to keep your audience engaged all through. Be creative. Some of your colleagues, and I've seen them in other classes, and I remember in your class as well, you were having games with the audience at some point, or maybe some sort of, you know, a give and take thing, or just a yes or no question, or, you know, you need to keep engaging them all through. Right, so that's the content. And then delivery, as usual, I'm going to be giving you a grade on voice, another one on confidence and enthusiasm, a third on eye contact, another for body posture and movement, and the last one is on your dress code. And yes, you are required to be formal. Surprise! Just as last time, all right? So fully formal, guys. No semi-formal, no casual, no excuses, all right? So, okay. So that's everything that I needed to share with you on this video. If you still are in doubt, please refer to the TA, to Engineer May. I'm sure she can answer all your questions. You need to be ready for next Tuesday, and you need to contact her as soon as possible in order to tell her about the names and the date of your presentation. Because remember, if you don't do that by the end of the day, by tomorrow she will have to just allocate you randomly. All right, I'll see you next week, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, I'm getting better, and inshallah by next Tuesday I will be able to see you. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.